Hello and welcome to a look at Switchblade for the Amiga, a game that was released by Gremlin. The story goes that the evil bad guy was dormant for quite a while, and he woke up from his extended slumber, and as he woke up he immediately decided that he didn't particularly like Blade Knights. We can assume that it was the Blade Knights that put him to sleep in the first place, and he was now in a very foul mood and wanted to get even. Thankfully for him, the Fireblade is just the one weapon that could harm him, broke in the process, so he could have a field day getting rid of the Blade Knights, which he did, gleefully, laughing and all that stuff. But, of course, as luck or lack of same would have it, he missed out one. Hiro, as he's called. He was probably out shopping or something when the other Blade Knights were getting demolished. Regardless, he is the remaining part of the Order of the Blade Knights, and he has decided to enter Undercity, locate the Fireblade. I want to call it Flameblade for some reason. Anyway, locate the Fireblade, restore it to its former glory, and then get rid of the bad guy. Once involved, twice involved, I don't know, whatever. I don't know how many times he's been beaten before. But in order to do that, of course, he has to explore Undercity, which is quite a bit of a labyrinth of a location. And on top of that, the Fireblade, because it broke quite dramatically, is split into 16 pieces. So until he has gathered all 16 pieces, he cannot reforge, use it to beat the bad guy. So you can imagine what type of game we are talking about. Hiro has this cyber arm thing, which can be configured into using various different weapon systems. Of course, he's defaulting to hand-to-hand combat. And in order to have that make any sense, we'll quickly go over the interface. Top left, score. The number to the right of your score is your lives. Bottom left, your energy. Next to that, the word extra. You can gather letters spelling extra and you will gain an extra life. So right about is your currently equipped weapon, which in our case is the fist. Further to the right, there's the word bonus, which of course also include letters you can pick up to get a score bonus. And further to the right on the bottom side is your power meter. That is the power that you utilize for your weapons of whatever kind they might be. And when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, holding on the fire button Holding down the fire button will charge up your attack power thing, and the first quarter of the meter will cause Hiro to punch. The second and third quarter will cause him to do a high kick, and the fourth quarter of the power bar will cause him to do a leg sweep thing, which is the most damaging hand-to-hand move he's got available to him. You can pick up various different weapons in the form of daggers and fireballs and that kind of stuff, and the power gauge will also affect them. But because, of course, they are limited ammunition type weapons, you can imagine that you are spending more ammunition the more power you put into a weapon of any given type. Speaking of the Fireblade, this is the first piece located. We need to pick it up. Just need to find a way to get up onto the level so you can actually pick up the piece, and that will cause an icon to appear on the top right side of the screen, showcasing that we now have the foundation of the Fireblade. 15 more pieces to go in order to get it sorted. Always lovely. As you explore Undercity, You will find various different enemies, of course. Some of them are patrolling back and forth, and by timing your leg sweep thing, you can dispose of them relatively quickly. But of course, you also have other enemies, and predominantly humanoid-shaped enemies, which tend to spawn shortly after you enter a new screen. The fact that they spawn after you enter the new screen often means that you are pummeling your way through the screen and suddenly have an enemy spawning on top of you, causing you to take a certain amount of damage before you have a chance to respond. The amount of damage you take is not necessarily excessive, but considering the fact that in the time I played this game in order to get the footage for this video, I think I saw one energy refill, maybe two. I could have seen two, I'm not entirely sure. But energy restoration is not exactly a common drop. And as you can see on the screen right now, the humanoid enemies will try to be in the same location you are. They will home in on you basically. And that of course means if you go up and down ladders, they will wait on the platform you're trying to reach and you start taking damage immediately. Which is always good fun, of course. There are also various objects you can break in the shape of vases or vases, whatever they're called, and break things that you can break in order to get whatever goodie is inside. Those goodies are usually points, but they could also be power-ups. And the power-ups work in such a way that the power meter on the bottom right side, the blue bars will turn white depending on how many power-ups you have gathered, and that means that those are permanently charged. Until of course you lose a life and lose your power-up things. Details. But you can have up to 8 of them, so that means that you can have up to 8 of the bars already charged, which means of course that charging up to full power will be significantly faster. The power bonuses, if you hit them, you can turn them into resets, which will reset your power completely, which I'm not entirely sure why you would want to do that, but the game gives you the option to do just that, so I suppose there might be a reason for it. Let's talk graphics and all that stuff. The graphics in this game is actually quite nice, but if you ever wondered how a non-naughty version of 50 Shades of Grey would look like, you just go and visit Undercity. If grey is not your color, this place is going to feel extremely dull and bland, irrelevant of how nice it may look, and that was definitely the feeling I got. It was 50 Shades of Grey for me, even though I will admit the graphics look nice. The enemies are, I suppose, somewhat creative, and the main character looks like some sort of, I don't know, close combat expert thing. Knight. Maybe it doesn't look like a knight. What do I know? Anyway, the graphical side is perfectly fine except for the fact that it's grey on grey. Mostly. The sound design, the sound effects are very appropriate for the game. Nothing stands out as being particularly epic, but nothing stands out as being particularly annoying either, so it's a win-win when it comes to the sound effects. The music, the title music and the in-game music is of a very good quality and very nice to listen to, but there was a reason why I showcased a gameplay clip featuring the in-game music. Shortened slightly, but not much. That is basically the entire in-game music loop you heard. So you can imagine it repeats quite quickly, and irrelevant of how nice a piece of music it might be, I did find it rather tedious that it repeated as often as it did, so I decided to play with the sound effects mainly, which I usually never do if I have the option between music and sound effects. The quality is good, I can't deny that, but I find it rather repetitive, rather quickly. The controls are spot on. Hiro is doing what you expect him to do when you expect him to do it. There's no missed inputs or falling through things or having bad what's it called, collision detection or anything. So everything in that regard is honky-dory. The gameplay though, usually I try to avoid having similar games covered in short succession, and even though they are very, very different, of course, there is a certain similarity between this and Soccer Kid that I covered very recently, in the fact that they are both platform exploration games. But this is a rather annoying platform exploration game, whereas Soccer Kid had a bit more excitement to it. The action in this game is not particularly action orientated, it's actually rather tedious. And the fact that you have to explore a huge labyrinth of a city in order to gather 16 total pieces of the Fireblade seems from the onset to be an extremely daunting task when there's not an awful lot of excitement to be had in the process. Sorry, hard to formulate. Which means, of course, that if you are not the type who loves to explore every nook and cranny of a playfield area kind of thing, then this game would be extremely not exciting. And that is exactly how I found it. Looks good, sounds good, but not particularly fun to play. On that note, thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye for now.